What's up, everybody, and welcome to your Kind of Funny Gamescast for Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. Roger said, Snowbike Mike, you won't do the intro standing up. And I said, Roger, watch me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I dared you. I dared you.
And this all started with you asking, Mike, how do I intro the show? Because I don't want to do the basic Greg Miller thing.
And then I did the basic Greg Miller thing.
Which you basically just did standing up.
Good morning, good afternoon, and hello, everyone. Welcome to your Gamescast for this lovely Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. I'm one of your show hosts, Snowbike Mike, and today I'm joined by two incredible gentlemen. Let's start off with who's in the room. Roger Picorni.
Hi, everybody. I don't want to stand. I feel like it's too distracting. You're the standard.
Don't
today.
stand. Of course,
Okay.
Roger, I will point out that you have an incredible Halo 3 vintage t-shirt on that I'm extremely jealous of every time you wear it.
Thank you so much. It was
I'm
$10.
going to lose 60 pounds and steal that t-shirt from you. Mark it down 2025. That's my goal. Let's talk about who our other guest is. Of course, he is the topic of the show. He went out and previewed Stalker 2. So we're going to be talking all things Xbox and Stalker 2 with one Parris Lilly. Hi, Parris. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm definitely excited to talk about this game, and we're having a little mini Xcast reunion. And Gary, what's your thought? Oh, wait, he's not here.
Oh, Gary.
This should be a fun episode.
Parris, how have you been? It's nice to see you. It's always good to collab with you on the shows and talk all things video games. How have you been? What's the latest and greatest? What are you playing right now?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And as far as what I've been playing, I've been playing Aura History Untold, kind of on the down low, and FrostPunk 2.
Oh,
that game is brutal, man. That game's no joke.
That.
Tell me about FrostPunk 2. I just know it's a game that exists that people like. Give me the pitch, both of you guys.
It's essentially like, would you call this an RTS? You call it an RTS, right?
Yeah, a little bit of an RTS, city builder, survival.
Yeah, city
I
builder.
put survival in all capital letters.
Yeah, survival in all caps. I mean, because again, like it's literally in the name Frostpunk. So you're like in this cold environment, and you have to deal with the demands of everyone in the city that you're building out. And it's brutal in the way that you got politics, you got religion, you got all the resource, you got to manage everything, and you F up one single thing and it is game over. It's crazy, but for people that are into the genre, if you're into the Civs of the worlds and the Auras and all that, and obviously the Sim Cities of the world, the city builder types, it's a fun challenge to have. It's unique in that way. And again, 11-bit studios, they freaking kill it, man. All the games that have come out and what's about to come out have been really good from that publisher.
Roger, this is the game for you.
Oh, really?
Now that you got me and Parris talking about it, and I think about my experience with this, Roger, this is a game that you would enjoy because it has a lot of tough decisions. It has consequences and actions for those decisions. Mm-hmm. But there's also like a mind game going on because you start off in this frozen world, but you kind of have to like flatten out and chip away at the ice to then be able to build on it. So like you got to be really strategic of, okay, where do I send out my crew to go kind of flatten this zone out and then build off of it? And so you got to kind of see, hey, the resources array up here, so I need to start moving my city up towards that. Then we're going to build on that. Oh, wait, down there, they have the expedition outpost, and you'll work towards that. Well, then you'll send an expedition team out to further reaches of the Frostlands, where then they'll get more resources. So you start building out, and it's real tough because sometimes you'll go right, and then you'll go, shit, I shouldn't have done that. Or you'll mine up all the resources, where now you have to, like, deconstruct that, take everything away, put it into something else. It's a really fun time. And like Parris said, it had me thinking. I like that.
Yeah, and to be clear, because I even see in the chat, that's why I even like question marks at RTS. No, this is not an RTS. It's not a 4X like you would play on Civ like that. But it is definitely more city builder, but it's about managing all those resources. Again, very similar to something that you would do in like a Civ game. And to Mike's point, man, it's one mistake and you can just F up your entire game.
So
it
sounds hella hardcore, but how is it picking it up, right? Like, I'm not somebody who has ever played a city builder to that extravagant of an idea, right? I played a little bit of SimCity.
The opening, the tutorial was fine. I think it'll ease you into it, but then once it lets go,
it lets go.
Yeah,
it'll have your head scratching it sometimes. If you give it your full energy and like all right, I'm focusing in on this. This is going to be it. Then you'll knock it out and you'll get a hold of it. And then it becomes fun. Okay. Then when they take the training wheels off and they send you out there and they're like, all right, figure it out. It's fun of like, what do I want to put in here? How do I do this? And then they hit you with the tough questions like we talked about, right? Like there is sicknesses going around and they're like, do we need to, quarantine these people? Do we not want to quarantine them? Do we need to keep the workforce up? And you're like, I don't know what you want me to do. Yeah. And then you go with your choice. You're like, well, we got to keep the sick people safe. We got to get them back and healthy. So we're going to quarantine. And then it's like, well, you're not producing enough. And you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? Wild situation.
Andy's so right. I don't want to hear your choices to any of these things.
Wild situation, dude. It's a whole lot of fun.
I'm going to definitely check it out. That's on my list right now. That's awesome.
Okay, Parris. I like that you're playing some FrostPunk too. Some Aura History Untold you slid in there as well.
Yeah, tell me about that too.
Yeah, now that is a 4X game. That is definitely like literally Oxide Games. People that have made some of the old Civ games are on that team, and I got to interview them. This is about 2-3 weeks ago. It was right before the game came out officially, and I was playing a little early for review, and it's a lot of fun. Again, when you dive into the weeds of going through these thousands of years of building up your civilization, and there are historical characters, leaders from other nations that will come into it as well. And like you said, trying to manage all that, the politics of it, the religion of it, going out, getting resources, getting into wars, trying to have peaceful trade. Like there's all these different aspects to it that can be a lot of fun. I haven't even jumped into the multiplayer stuff on it. There's a multiplayer aspect to it as well that I know people are enjoying. But like, again, if you love the Civ games, you'll like Aura History Untold. It's really good.
I'm mad at myself for this one. I have not played the latest Xbox stuff with Aura and Towerborn, and like I went on a big Civ 6 kick when Greg went to go host the PAX panel. You saw me for like 3 weeks. I was playing nothing but Civ to get ready for Greg's big panel and like to really wrap my head around it. And I was riding this high where I was like, oh, I'm going to jump into Aura, and I have not touched either one of those games. And I'm like, man, am I missing out on the fun? Because Aura's got my name on it, plus Towerborn, which like, I love Castle Crashers, and I love the idea of
is that what that game
kind
is?
of co-op vibe of the side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and it's like, I would like to play that. So, you know what? Both those games are in my back pocket. Haven't got to them yet.
So, Mike, speaking on that, and again, it's just time. I've not had time. Age of Mythology is also out right now. So that's another one that people can jump into. And then, like you mentioned, Towerborn, that is something I've been playing a little bit on and off during the early access stuff that's on Steam right now. Again, a lot of fun. I think that's something once it comes out of early access and it does come to Xbox and opens up to a wider audience, I think people will enjoy that too.
Your boys played a lot of Age of Mythology, Parris. First time ever playing Age of Mythology.
Okay,
I have. I even jumped into the campaign because people were encouraging me to check out the campaign. Had a blast with it. Yeah. I love Warcraft. I love Age of Empires. Melding these two with like the fun mythology side of it with like the ancient Greek gods, and all of a sudden they're like hero units too. Roger, it's a blast. That's a good game right there. That's a fun time. So a couple of good little shining stars from Xbox that not a lot of people are talking about right now.
Yeah, all of that are all like dark spots in my gaming history, right? So I mean, these seem like interesting ways to start it up. So I might try it, Aura.
Keep an eye out on it. But of course, we're not here to talk about any of those. We're here to talk about a different game coming to Xbox and on Game Pass, and Parris already got to play it. That is Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, which we're going to be talking about in just a little bit because Parris has got your preview covered for you to tell you all about this upcoming game. But first, I got to tell you that this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together to talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics of discussion in the video game world live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, please consider supporting us with that brand new Kind of Funny membership available on Patreon and on YouTube. For just $10, you can get the very best of Kind of Funny. You'll get all of our shows ad-free. You'll be able to watch them live as we record them, and you'll get your daily dose of Greg Miller. And who doesn't love seeing Greg each and every day? I know I do. Of course, you'll get that exclusive content with the Daily Greg Way with that membership. Of course, for a chance to be part of the show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats. As we go, I'll be reading those off throughout today's show. Of course, some housekeeping news for you. Roger, in space, no one can hear Nick scream unless you're streaming Alien Isolation on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Then everyone can hear Nick scream. Join Mike, Nick, and Andy this Wednesday, aka today if you're watching live, for a special spooky stream as they attempt to survive Alien Isolation. Come out and support, and we'll go late Wednesday, October 16th, noon Western time, right after Gamescast. So make sure to keep
I can't believe you got
one.
Andy to agree to this one. That is an insane one.
Surprisingly, his idea.
Whoa.
Yeah, Andy's growing, you know what I mean?
Holy
his
shit.
idea, and then he's approached me, let's play Silent Hill 2.
What?
I'm like, okay,
Do I even know him?
who lit
What's
this
going on
fire
here?
under Andy's butt? I don't know.
Tim hating the month of Halloween, all of this stuff. Like, we don't know these people anymore. It's
That's
messed
insane.
Up. It's messed up.
I love that.
What are
I
we
love
doing?
that. Of course, we have some other big news for you. Blessing is going to New York Comic-Con this weekend and hosting the secret level panel with Tim Miller and Dave Wilson. The panel is Saturday at 6:30 Eastern. Keep an eye out for that
That's
one.
awesome.
That's so cool. Congratulations, Blessing. Gonna go kill that. I've got to see Blessing host some panels before at a PAX East. He's awesome.
The GOAT.
And then, come on, teaming him up with the secret level team. Watch out. That's going to be a must-see. So go out there and support him if you're at New York Comic-Con. Of course, we are an 11-person small business all about live talk shows. Today, you had Kind of Funny Games Daily talking about Halo and the BR that never was. Sad face, Parris, because we talked a lot about it on this set with the Kind of Funny Xcast.
BR. Okay.
Yeah, remember they were like the only BR in Halo's a battle rifle, and then it was like, oh snap, Halo Infinite could have used a BR, y'all. Could have really used that.
Can we talk about it for just a second?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Because to your point, we talked about this a lot on Xcast over the years, just speculating what it could be, and to now have it semi-confirmed that that was a thing that could have happened, and they shelved it. I am disappointed. Yep. I wanted it. I wanted that mode to happen. I think that was their perfect opportunity to reintroduce the ODSTs. That was their opportunity to create a play style that was different than just being a Spartan, right? But it's set in the Halo universe. You could have customized weapons in it. Obviously, the monetization point of it from a business aspect, you think all the different skins and crazy stuff that they could have done with that as well. You could have introduced the Flood into this. Imagine the Flood being in this battle royale as basically a PvP enemy or PvE enemy, you know, in the battle royale that you have to deal with all the different Halo vehicles that you could have done from the UNSC and from the Covenant as well. I get it. They're obviously moving to Unreal 5 and they've shaken up things. And, you know, you and I, Mike, we already talked about this. I get probably why they canceled it, but damn, I hope they revisit it. I do. I think it's something that could work.
It's got to be revisited. Like, this is just such a slam dunk idea. I don't think we see this go away forever. I think it's just, hey, Halo Infinite was a rough launch, and it was just like, hey, let's just reboot it. Let's just reboot it. Let's start off fresh. Let's have the goodwill of Halo Studios turned over from 343. We got to see this. We got to see this in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, Parris, when do you think we see the next Halo? Like, let's be real. You and I spoke recently, and you were like, what if during the celebration next year, we celebrate that with Halo CE, maybe a big remake? When is, like, the next proper Halo, though?
Okay. I'm of two minds of this, and we talked about this a little bit. November 15th, 2026 is the 25th anniversary. It just makes sense to have something Halo related there. So it all depends on how long whatever they're currently working on has been in development. If they can meet that seems like the perfect time. But if you kind of go by the announcement, it sounds like they're still very early in development.
Yeah.
Maybe 2028, right? But that seems like a long ass time to not have Halo. So I don't know. I'm going to say 2026. I'm gonna stick with that. I think they have something ready for the 25th anniversary.
And what is it though? Right? Like, is it the remake? Is it a full? Do we need to start off with a full blown new Halo game, or can we do a side story? Like, what is the bare minimum standard? You know what I mean? That we need to start off for this new era.
I'm glad you brought that up because again, I can't take credit for the second thing because I did see this on a stream. I want to be clear on that because I tweeted about it, but I think it's Combat Evolved. I think I think it's a remake of Combat Evolved with a twist where they're not going to just 1v1 tell the story. I think it's going to pivot off like into something else, which I think they also might do with Gears of War E-Day, by the way, but we'll see. But the second idea, and I saw this on the stream, so I can't take credit for it. What if you're getting the ODSTs? What if you had a Halo game that was the ODSTs set on a planet that the Covenant glassed and it's filled with flood? Survival horror game.
Oh,
I would love that. I would love that if they did something like that.
Parris is cooking.
Duck on.
Again, not my idea.
It's a great idea,
but
though.
I saw it and I thought it was great.
Duck on Quack in the chat says a Halo 3 remaster would be nice. To me, like, that's my generation, right? Like, that's my generation of Halo. So a full remake of Halo 3, we didn't do that one. That to me would be extremely exciting. I think that would set off a new generation of Halo for people my age.
A little late in the story, though.
I know, but I mean, hey, it is. You guys, the way you guys talk about Halo 2 is the way that people my age talk about Halo 3. Like, Halo 3 changed a lot of things for us.
Okay. Let's keep it going. Longhouse Gaming writes in with the super chat. Don't forget, we want you to get involved with your super chats.
Don't read it. Don't
Shout
read
out
it.
to Longhouse
Take his
Gaming.
money and don't read it.
Looking for Parris to start a 30-hour metaphor stream one day. Man, we got to get Parris full-on streamer mode.
Do
one day.
it.
That's right. I love that. Parris, is this another game that you're juking and hiding from? Is this what you're doing? Are you hiding from this? Are you hiding from this right now, Parris?
A text will be coming your way, sir. For that super chat. But I'm not hiding from it. I have the game on Xbox and I have started it. But again, it's not my thing. So there's all these other things that I want to play. It's kind of on the shelf, but I know it's good. I know it is. I got to find time in it, which is going to be impossible. I don't know when I'm going to have a chance to play it. I just don't know.
Fair.
Too many games.
You gotta pick and choose. You gotta pick and choose.
And to answer your stream question, Black Ops 6 is out. When the Warzone's out, I am coming up to the studio and we're going to play it all effing day.
Yes.
That's what we're going to do.
Mountain Dew Doritos only. That's all we're eating, Parris.
Yes. Did you see the controller and the wrap that they promoted?
I want the wrap.
The
I
wrap.
will say that
the
with my
wrap
full
looks
chest.
good.
I want that wrap.
The wrap looks good, y'all. Gary owes me his wrap. Because I gave Gary my Starfield wrap, so like if Gary gets this, he owes me this wrap, just so Gary knows. I'm putting it out there.
And the Elite controller looks good too. I like that Elite controller.
Great job right there. And of course, they also sent out the preload times and the date launch, 24th, 9 p.m. Get ready. We're playing. We're getting Thursday. We should
start the stream us just watching the preload start and then just sitting there, for 24.
I cannot wait. Of course, we have some fun stuff that I can't wait to get into. So let's do that. We want to thank our Patreon producers who support us, just like Delaney Twining and Carl Jacobs. Thank you for your support. Today we were brought to you by New World Eternum, but we'll tell you all about that later. Let's jump in to the show. It's all about Parris. It's all about Xbox, and it's all about Stalker 2 with the preview. That's right. It's your topic of the show. Parris got to play Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, of course, developed by GSC Game World from the Ukraine. The release date is set for November 20th, 2024, right around the corner for you. So just a quick rundown before Parris gets into it. If you don't know what Stalker is, it's a unique blend of first-person shooter, immersive sim, and horror with a really thick atmosphere. One of the biggest open worlds to date is yours to explore, along with an epic branching story with multiple endings, is what they promote on their websites. Wow. Parris, you got to play it. It's been a long time coming. Tell me all about it.
So I went to a preview event out here in Los Angeles a few weeks back. It was actually right around the time that they released the documentary that Xbox had about GSC Game World and just everything that they've had to go through with the Ukraine war. So at the preview event, they gave us a preview of that. So I got to see that. And then right after, I got to sit down with Igor. He's the cinematics team lead over at GSC Game World. And that was like literally, if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see the interview I did with him. It was a great conversation with him. But that was the first question I had for him, was about, how are you doing? How is the team doing with everything that's been going on the past few years with the Ukraine war? And he kind of detailed that, they've moved a lot of people to Prague, to continue to develop the game. But some people have stayed in Ukraine because obviously it's their country. They want to defend their country. And he talked a lot about how it's just the new norm now that the entire team checks up on each other to make sure everybody's doing okay and all that. And they're under the circumstances, they're holding up well. So I wanted to make sure to address that first and foremost, because this is just a freaking video game, but this is real life stuff that's happening. But for the game itself, I got to play about 2.5, 3 hours of it at the event. And they even warned me when we first started to play, they're like, you're going to die a lot. And I did. I died a lot, because this is an open world survival game, first and foremost. And I've never played any of the Stalker games before. So this was kind of my entry into it. So I didn't know what to expect. And everything in that world is trying to kill you. I'm saying that literally. It's like from the opening mission to later on by the end of my session, everything is trying to kill you in that game. Now, I loved what I got to play. It's in Unreal 5. Visually, it looks fantastic. Being open world, sure, there's missions that you can go on, quests, side missions, things like that. But because it's open world, there's a lot of dynamic things that happen in there. So the great example that I use, and I'll dive more into the specifics here, but there was a mission that I took, a side mission, where there's these bandits that are harassing this guy that's he's locked himself, barricaded himself in this building, right? You talk to the bandits and they basically are like, we want that dude's stash. So you talk to the dude, he tells you where the stash is. You go up, again, I don't want to spoil anything. You go up there to where the stash is, and then you come back down, and I'm talking to the bandit leader, and I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing, and it wasn't good enough. And the bandit dude turned on me, and it turns into this all-out freaking chaos gunfight, right? And I'm trying to survive. And again, the thing about Stalker 2 is being a survival game, limited weapons, limited ammo, the gear that you have, it's very scarce. Again, when you get shot, you bleed. You got to have bandages. You got to have the health packs, all these things, right? So I was being super stubborn because I didn't have a lot of bandages with me or health packs. And I kept dying over and over, but I was effing determined to get past this one part. I was like, screw this. I'm not doing anything else. I want to get past this. And then sure enough, I finally think I got it right. Now what's happening? Dynamic world. I got mutant dogs coming out of nowhere, freaking attacking me, and I'm dying over that. So fine, I get past the mutant dogs. Now I actually take out the people. I got shot. I got no bandages. I'm bleeding out, and I die anyways. That, my friends, is Stalker 2. It's just one thing I did for like 30 minutes in Stalker 2. Just complete chaos. And it was a side mission. It wasn't even the main thing that was in there. But the whole details of Stalker 2 is, and again, veterans, please don't yell at me because again, I'm new at this, but you go to what is the zone. Again, Heart of Chernobyl is what this is called, obviously based off of the real events that happened with Chernobyl, right? But you go to the zone, radiated zone, you go in there, there's all these crazy anomalies, but the prize in the zone are these artifacts that you have to find. And the artifacts have different perks to them. Like, as an example, you could find an artifact that could help you reduce radiation effects on you, right? But at the same time, a negative to it, it makes you super thirsty and hungry. So you constantly have to find water and food or whatever, again, to survive while you're in there. But you're looking for these artifacts while you're in there. But like I said, there's the mutant creatures, the dogs and all these other things that are trying to kill you. There's the bandits that are in there. They're trying to kill you. Obviously, you can negotiate with some of them. Some might want to help you. Some might want to instantly try and kill you. You obviously have some other NPCs. You can go to these different factions and these towns where you can take on missions and do things like that. But your head is constantly on a swivel when you're in this world. And you're a new character coming in here for Stalker 2 compared, I guess, to the old games. But it was a lot of fun. I feel like I'm talking all over the place, so please ask me questions if I'm missing something. But the weapons will deteriorate over time, so you got to manage your weapons. They can get damaged. There's things like that. Again, you're constantly scavenging for new gear, for ammo, things like this. There's a lot to it. And I know this might seem overwhelming. And I think the best way I describe it is this is difficult fun. While I found it to be difficult, it was fun at the same time because I felt like there was a true challenge while you're in here. And again, taking on some of these missions and interacting with the NPCs, you can find that everything isn't just linear as far as your mission structure. It can be dynamic, and depending on helping this NPC might piss off this other one, but helping this one might branch out and open up a whole other mission line to you. Again, there's different endings, things like that that are going to be in there. And this is just what I encountered in 2.5, 3 hours. I mean, just talking with Igor, we were talking about stuff that you'll encounter at hour 30 in that game. I can't wait to play it. I will say right now, I knew I wanted to play Stalker 2. I was anticipating Stalker 2, but just in the little slice that I got to play, this is shaping up to be one of the best games of 2024. And I did not think that going in. But walking away from it, I can't wait for November 20th to play this again.
Okay. Some high praise there, Paris.
Yeah, that's wild.
Very high praise. Okay.
I mean, everything you're saying, I didn't even know about, right? Like, I just assumed this.
I didn't either.
I thought this was just going to be a linear, metro type deal where you're going through. And the fact that this is an open world survival game that seems so deep is wild to me. My question to you is the story, right? You say that it is branching, it is in depth. How engaging was it? I know you only played 3.5 hours and you spent 30 minutes dying in a side quest, but like, how engaging was the story itself? Because I feel like, to me, that is the only, if the story isn't good, I'm not going to finish it. I'm not going to get to that 30 hours.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I mean. Lightly touched on the story because I did get to one of the, I guess, main villages, for lack of a better term, right? And that's where you'll meet a lot of NPCs, and that's where you can start taking on some of these main missions and side missions and things like that. So I obviously wanted to see as much as I could, so I kind of really skipped over a lot of that stuff because I wanted to get into the actual meat of the gameplay. But again, talking with Igor in an interview, there's definitely a story there. It is branching. Like I said, you are playing a new character that's coming into the zone, so there's that aspect of it. And the one thing that he brought up, again, for people like myself and other people that might be watching this that have never played a Stalker game, there's a lot of lore that they buried inside the game, and essentially like these notebooks that you can pick up. I can't remember exactly if there was audio logs. I don't think there were, but there were things that you can find to kind of get the backstory of Stalker while you're in there playing. So for newcomers like myself, you're going to be encouraged to want to find these things and kind of understand the backstory. And obviously for veterans, it will be optional to you because you already know this, but you are entering an established universe of Stalker with this. So there's obviously new story that you're going to experience that you'll see obviously just in a little bit that I did play. And then there's going to be this whole backstory that veterans will already be aware of, but they're going to try and help you along the way to understand that too.
Okay. All right. I like the story. I want to talk a little bit about the open world. They're saying it's one of their largest games they've ever made, a giant open world. Is this like a Far Cry open world situation here where the map is as big as the eye can see? There's icons all over the place. Is this going to be, I guess, the quote, Ubisoft open world that we're so accustomed to?
No, this isn't a Witcher 3 Far Cry map moment where you just got 1,000 icons all over the place. As you take on missions and side missions and things, you can open up points of interest. You'll see like a question mark on something of some place you haven't explored. And again, I don't want to oversell the map size, but they promise that this is a very big open world. There's going to be a lot to explore, different areas and zones that you'll be going into. Again, the various factions, because he was even we're talking about hitting like hour 30 stuff, like weapon wise, like there'll be weapons that you'll find in further off places in the open world that you won't be able to find, early on in the game, things like that. So, from what I played, and again, it wasn't a lot, it was only a few hours. It felt dynamic. I even saw a couple different biomes while I was in there as far as, map diversity goes. So it seemed pretty expansive. And like I said, it's so dynamic in that I ran into scenarios, like I was bringing up that dog scenario with the tower thing, but there were other times where and again, I died a lot, where I would go out into one area and all of a sudden I got these dogs and you might see these bandits and they're killing me. And then I would respawn and come back to the same area. It would either play out completely different with different type of enemies, or there'd be no enemies at all. So I like that as well, that you never know what you're going to get when you're out there, in the open world trying to explore and look for these anomalies and these artifacts.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm interested in when we talk about this big open world, that dynamic moments of something different happening each time or running into something new and fresh, or is it stale? Is it repeated? Have we seen this too many times where it's like, I've been there, done that. Why do I keep getting the same 10 things happening? did you feel like you're going to see that?
I didn't. And again, we're talking small sample size here, but just in I didn't feel like in just my 2.5 hours, like I was just on repeat with the same things as far as what was going on. Another aspect of this is with the weapons. Like I was telling you before, they degrade, they can break, they can get damaged. Like your weapons could literally jam on you in a firefight.
Jesus.
Right. Whereas, because I had this happen where I went into a firefight one time and, my weapons were fine. I still died. But then I went into it the second time and that same exact weapon jammed onto me. So there's that kind of dynamic aspect to it as well. So I thought that was pretty cool too. Again, you never know what you're going to get when you're going into these encounters. And the one thing that I didn't mention is what I like about it, there's being difficulty to this is, and it being survival, you got to think. You got to think when you're going to these encounters. You need to make sure, is my loadout ready? Am I going to be prepared for this? Do I have enough ammo? Do I have the right weapons? Do I have enough bandages? Do I have enough health? Is the artifact that I'm carrying right now, is this the right one that I'll need going into this? Stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool too. And I could definitely see that getting a lot more complex as you get later on into the game.
Yeah. As you talk about, the randomization of enemies, the jamming of a weapon that didn't jam before, I just go into, is this game going to be, did it feel like frustrating? Like, was there a moment where you're playing this and you're like, oh, why did that happen? That just felt random. Like, why is there 10 enemies? There wasn't any enemy before. What was their vibes there?
No, and see, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's why I mentioned the story about I was being super stubborn on this one part and I just kept doing it for 30 minutes because it was like I had a dumb smile on my face. Oh man, that got me this time. Oh, F that. I'm going back and doing it. I'm gonna get it this time. I had that mentality while I was doing it. And it was funny because a couple of the reps from GSC Game World that were there, obviously helping us play the game. I attracted a crowd at one point because the one guy even comes to me and he goes, You do know you need bandages and you can go back to the camp and go find this stuff. And I looked at him like, I know, but I have to beat this the way I want to. Right.
Watch
you know
what I
mean? But so no, I didn't have frustration. And I understood that if I was just banging my head against the wall, okay, I don't have to do this right now. I can stop doing this, go do something else, restock, go back to the village, find another lack of a better term, a loot crate that might have some items and resources that I may need. So I like that flexibility too, where again, like you were talking about it being linear, where it wasn't linear, where I have to do this one thing or that just completely stops my progress in the game.
We're talking about traversal and stuff, going back to the hub area. Are you walking around everywhere? Are there vehicles? Are you just fast traveling everywhere?
No vehicles that I use. I'm a newbie, so I don't even know if there are usable vehicles in the game. I don't think there are, but yeah, everything was on foot and no, didn't fast travel at all. I was going from point A to point B for everything.
Okay. So it never felt too big where you had to fast travel. It was very much, I can just walk back and forth. No problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm only seeing a slice of the map. So who knows if that's something that I would need to do later in the game. And and I didn't ask when I had a chance to ask if there was fast travel, so I don't know. So I do apologize for that.
You bring back up a lot of you bring up ammo, bandages. You talk about your inventory. We saw on the feed here during the B-roll, looks like a grid-based inventory system that we've seen before. Are you packing too much? Are you crafting items to then have your own bandages or ammo? What did it look like moment to moment when it comes to inventory management?
Do you have a weight?
Yeah, I believe you can craft. I'm pretty sure you can. And I'm doing this off the top of my head when I should be looking at my notes, but I'm pretty sure you can craft in the game. So again, you can gather resources to create some of this stuff if you need to. But to your point about the grid style, think PUBG. If you ever played PUBG where you're just slotting things back and forth, you're able to do that.
Is there a weight? Do you have like a weight system here, or like I'm carrying too much stuff, I have to drop stuff, or is it just hey? You just gotta
it didn't seem like you did, but if you notice on there, you have a limited amount of slots. I am unsure if as you level up, you can increase that. So maybe you can, but you can obviously see how much you can hold at any one time.
Yeah,
of course, it's a first-person shooter. How did the gunplay feel, Parris?
Felt good. Definitely felt good.
Different wide range of weapons and guns as well.
I got to use what I think was like an AK-47, I'm pretty sure, and I had a few different pistols that I was able to get a hold of. And again, the damage quality of them as they degrade, they're not as reliable. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So I thought that was a pretty cool perk. But part of it is you are out in the world scavenging for these resources, for these weapons. You can, I guess, like in these villages, go buy some of these things, with some of the currency that you can accumulate, which I believe, again, is the stuff that you're finding out in the world to basically barter for. That was another thing. So there was a scenario where I looted an NPC's body, and it pissed off that faction because that was their guy.
Oh wow!
So they didn't want to work with me.
Okay.
Did they see you do that, or they just kind of sensed it? Okay.
Yes, they were there. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I've done that a couple times in games.
Oh, I think you're saying real life.
Yeah, I've done. Wrong dude. My bad. Yeah.
My question is, it seems like there's a lot of enemy encounters, and is there any stealth? Is there any ways to kind of go at this different ways, or you're just kind of, hey, I'm just shooting these people and I'm hiding behind bushes and just kind of doing it the same way?
Yeah, there definitely was a stealth aspect to it, because I remember there was one scenario. Again, you had these weird, and this is something I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So
sure.
The anomalies where you even see it in some of the B-roll footage where you're looking at this area and you can tell it's like all fuzzy and off, and you can pick up items to throw into it because you have to find these anomalies to get their artifacts, right? So, I mean, like a dummy, I'm walking into the artifact. I'm like, why am I getting all this damage? And I had to figure that out, how to avoid that and how to detect those. But there was a scenario where there were these bandits and they were out scavenging, obviously, right? And I could have engaged them. And the first time I did, and I died, of course. But the next time I was like, well, maybe I can just sneak around these guys and avoid this firefight altogether. And that's exactly what I did. So you do have that diversity there where you can pick the approach that you want to take in those scenarios.
Like a day-night cycle.
And I'll say this. To me, it seems the best approach, if you don't have to fight, don't do it. If you can avoid getting in a firefight, don't, because you're just putting yourself at risk every time.
Okay. Yeah. Is there a day-night cycle, pick and choose? Are there silencers for your weapons where
That's
we can go in?
I want to see
full stealth, or is it gonna no matter what blow up?
It does seem like as you get higher up, you're going to be able to upgrade some of these weapons and pick up different things. So it looks like you will be able to do some of that in there as well. As far as like a specific day-night cycle, I don't remember exactly where it was daytime, and as I was in it, it turned to night. But or maybe it did. See, and it's been a few weeks since I played it.
Yeah, some of the gameplay is nighttime, so.
But, but there was definitely times it was at night and at day for sure.
Okay.
Cool.
They highlighted a thick atmosphere. Parris, how did that feel playing it, right? Did it seem very samey in the world that you saw? Were there very unique points of interest that you were part of? The music, how did that build into certain situations? Is there music? Is it just ambient noise? What did it feel like moment to moment?
It was ambient noise, and it was very suspenseful, if I'm saying that correctly. Again, you're by yourself. And you rolling up, like, think if you ever watched The Walking Dead or something like that, right? Where you roll up on these people you've never encountered before. You don't know if they're going to be friendly. You don't know if they're going to attack you on the spot. You always have to assume everything that you see out in that world is going to try and kill you. You have to, because if you don't, then they're probably going to kill you.
You're kind of selling me on this game. This sounds really cool, and
nice.
I'm a little scared of the 30 hours, right? But like, especially when there's so many games going on there. But this sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, just again on a more real life aspect of this, to know what that team has gone through over the past few years with everything that's happening in the Ukraine. You're splitting up families, people having to leave the country, some people staying. And they still worked on this game, and they're driving it to completion. And they got it to a place now where they're actually going to be able to deliver it here on November 20th. It's quite a feat for them. I remember seeing this when I did the Xbox showcase in 2021. I remember that was the first time I got to see it. And I remember even then thinking, oh, this looks really neat. And here we are in 2024 because of everything that's happened in the real world that they've had to deal with over the past few years. To now be able to get this game out is quite an accomplishment. And it's good. It is good. Veterans of Stalker obviously already know this, but me coming in as a newbie, I was very impressed with what I got to see, and I can see the potential in this, and I can see as you dive further into it and experience some of the crazy stuff that's in this open world, right up my alley. But I'm with you, Roger. It all comes back to time. Is like, man, will I have enough time to actually invest in this? But I feel like this is a game I'm going to want to find the time to play.
Absolutely.
If you're excited and you want to learn more, of course, that documentary is now out, available on YouTube. War Game, the making of Stalker 2 documentary. So go check that out. I watched the first 30 minutes before the show. Had a really good time. Very interesting stuff and some really intense stuff. So go check that out. But Parris, we're going to ask you more about Stalker 2 and beyond right after a word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by New World Eternum. New World Eternum is a thrilling action RPG experience for console and PC players with a vibrant world, vast and beautiful setting, dynamic real-time action combat, and the freedom for players to choose how to forge their destiny. Combat is skill-based and dynamic, incorporating swords, guns, and sorcery so that you can build one character to rule them all as you explore Eternum and unravel the mysteries of the supernatural island that you can't leave. You love playing RPGs alone? You can in New World Eternum, or play cooperatively with your friends as you complete quests, get better gear, and level up. Greg played this at Summer Game Fest on PlayStation 5 and was caught off guard by how much he enjoyed it and how many hours he said he could see himself sinking into the final product. There's boss fights, cool enemies, crossplay, resource gathering, and crafting. So yeah, this sounds like a Greg game. New World Eternum is available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
Parris, I want to ask, it seems like the gameplay that we were watching earlier was on PC. You played this on PC, I'm assuming? How did it run? How did it look?
Oh, good question.
Actually, I played it on Xbox. I did not play it.
Check
I played
that
it
out
on,
for
I
a
guess it's like
preview.
an Xbox dev kit.
Oh,
so I
okay,
did not
okay.
play
So
it on PC.
okay, I saw a mouse cursor. So is that just in the game?
That was
you're looking at
provided
B-roll.
B-roll.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
that's
bad,
B-roll. That's not my
Okay,
gameplay.
gotcha.
We weren't allowed to capture, but there was a mix of Xbox stations and PC stations that were there. And I purposely chose Xbox because when I played it briefly at Summer Game Fest, that was on PC. So I was like, let me see what it's like on Xbox. Looked great, played great. No issues. I know on Series X, it will be 60 frames per second. And I believe they said on Series S right now it's 30. But they are working to see if they can get a performance mode to get it to 60 on the S.
I need an X. You know what I mean? Like, I just need to play this game at 60 FPS or just on PC.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seems like the way to play about it. But that's cool. I'm glad that it was stable 60 FPS because I remember there was an interview somewhat recently where someone accidentally said 20 FPS, but they meant 30 FPS. So there was some hullabaloo out there. So I'm glad that it's 60 FPS.
Was that Stalker or was that Avowed? I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure.
But to your point, yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it was stable, fine, no issues at all while I was playing.
Awesome.
And is it always going to be solo, Parris? Will I recruit other members out there from factions and beyond to join me and run around this wasteland, or no?
It seems like you're solo. Again, I played very early on, and that's a question, again, I apologize because I did not ask. I know you obviously can talk to NPCs and you can go on missions for them and work with them, but I don't think you could like specifically have a companion that's going with you on these missions.
How about the enemies? Were they scary? Were they unique? Did they keep you on your toes with the difficulty? What was that like?
Definitely kept me on my toes. Those, like, I think you even see one in the B-roll, but those dogs are a pain in the ass. They're just such a pain in the ass because you'll hear them off in the distance, and the next thing you know, it's like a pack of them, and they're just rushing you. And again, you're limited on ammo, so you got to try and take them out quickly because if they hit you and attack you, now you're bleeding, and if you're bleeding, you got a bandage and all these things that are going on. But the most deadly enemies are the humans, are the other humans that are in the zone with you, these bandits, because I mean, they obviously have weapons. They can shoot at you from range. Some of them are going to rush you, stuff like that. They could, surround you because like even that tower scenario I was bringing up, there were like 4 bandits I had to take out, and you could hear them making call outs to each other, stuff like that. So yeah, they're probably the most deadly enemies of all.
One clarification question I want to ask. So you saying it's hard, you die a lot of times. Are you dropping everything? Is it like a roguelite situation, or are you just booting up from the last save point? Like,
you're respawning back. Yeah.
Okay, well that's good.
Oh, okay. That's a great question there, Rogers, right? Okay. What about the zone? We refer to that. What kind of weird, freaky stuff is going on within the zone that we will see or maybe get teased that you can tease us with, Parris.
But see, that's like the whole mystery part of it that was only early into the game that you're trying to understand, and you're new to the zone. But there's these weird anomalies, if I could say it correctly, time distortion, obviously all these weird effects that are happening. And like we're looking at one of them right now, but then there's these other anomalies where you're trying to find an artifact and you have this device and you're looking for a specific one and you have to put it down. And then, you have to get close to the anomaly, which could kill you to try and find the artifact. And there's a whole mystery stuff that's going on with that in this zone. So that's part of the story aspect that I'm actually still wanting to go back so I can understand better. Like we're looking at one now with the fire stuff. So you're pulling out that scanner and then you're eventually going to drop this device in there, because if there's an artifact in there, you have to go into the anomaly to get it. Yeah.
Okay. I want to bring in the live chat, of course. All Ups over on the Twitch side says, are there level ups, a skill tree? What does this look like, progression-wise, Parris?
I believe there wasn't a skill tree. Definitely was not that. But I believe you are kind of, quote unquote, leveling up your character in a way. And I'm apologizing here because I don't remember seeing that specifically, like what it looked like and what it was doing as far as your perks go on that. But I think also part of it is you're finding these artifacts and then you get to use these different artifacts which give you different perks and abilities that you can use in the world. Like I bringing up the radiation one so that you're not so susceptible to radiation. But then the negative aspect of that was now you need to eat more. You need to drink water more, to offset it.
So you have some survival aspects of this. How much is that in play with the hunger and thirst system?
Oh, it's definitely in play because again, if you don't pay attention to that stuff and you could literally just die in the world without an enemy attacking you if you're bleeding. Because that happened to me a couple of times where, sure, I killed all the enemies and I got rid of them, but because I was bleeding and I didn't have a bandage, I die. And if you don't drink enough water, I believe you can die of the starvation or thirst and things like that, or it slows you down. There's effects to that'll eventually hurt you in the world.
That's awesome. No, I mean, how hard was it to find? I mean, you said bandages, but like water and food. Like, did you find any water and food in your playthrough?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You scavenge. You scavenge in some of the places that you go to.
Picking
so you
want
to look for different things. Scavenge bodies, and there's stashes that you can see on the map that you can go to. That potentially could have some of those resources that you're looking for as well. Then you can obviously go into town. There's vendors and stuff that you can purchase some of this stuff from as well.
Cool. Oh, okay. I like that. Parris, I want to go back to the grid inventory system one more time because we're talking about now adding a bunch of stuff into my bag. I've been playing a lot of Resident Evil 4, and I really enjoy their grid inventory system because, of course, I can get a little Tetris effect within Getting Wild, or I can just have an auto sort button. Was there an auto sort button on this to make it faster and easier of just grab all this stuff, put it in my bag, or am I clicking one by one, rotating, trying to fit it in like Tetris blocks?
No, you can have the option to like, hey, just grab all kind of thing. So that was definitely there.
Okay. Cool. Parris, you got me pretty excited. I think the audience out there watching live on Twitch and on YouTube have been pretty excited as well. Parris, give me the quick rundown. Do you remember what's the release date? Is it coming to Game Pass? Your final impressions before we move on to our final segment of the day.
Yeah, November 20th, 2024 is when it's coming out. It will be day one on Game Pass, and it'll be available obviously on Xbox and PC.
Yeah. PC Game Pass as well, right, Parris, I believe? Yep. So it's both. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal right there.
I'm going to try it out.
All right. Well, hopefully you're excited by that. Let us know in the comments down below if you're jumping into Stalker 2 when that releases next month. Thank you, Parris, for the big preview on that. Parris and Roger, I thought, you know what? To end today's show, why don't we go ask the audience for some fun questions?
Yeah.
Little best friend mailbag section.
Oh, I love it.
And so we've gotten in some write-ins all about Xbox, of course, Parris. And we've gotten the generic Xbox questions like Ato 2020 says, when is WoW coming to Xbox? Parris, that's a great question. I second that question. When is Xbox going to get World of Warcraft? Can we just jump right into it?
I think it's still a few years away. If it happens. I don't think we guarantee it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to happen. 2 years. 2 years.
Bats Talks writes in and says, will we ever see Everwild?
That is the $1 million question. I was convinced we were going to see it this year. I thought we were going to see it at the showcase, and the fact that we've still not seen it, knock on wood, if we don't see it by the next June showcase, then I have to seriously question if this game ever comes out.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question of if it ever comes out. It's just like how deep are we going to get? I think we're going to see it in the next year, but I think we're going to see this game.
You think we're going to see Everwild in the next year? Like see it just like a
I think you see it, like a teaser trailer. Like
wow,
we're going to see it one more time.
Wow,
one more
that's
year.
crazy. I like that. Shutterpaw writes in and says, a lot is riding on Black Ops 6's addition to Game Pass. What do you think success looks like for Xbox? If the sales/GP, aka Game Pass subscription numbers, are low, but player engagement is high, is that enough, Parris?
That's a great question. I want to say yes, because we're talking about this individual game. If they're going to have high engagement sales numbers on Black Ops 6 because it's Call of Duty. Of course they are. But it'll be interesting to see if that drives people to say, well, hey, I could just subscribe to Game Pass. And we know now with the changes to Game Pass, you need to get on Ultimate if you want Black Ops 6. So now you're asking people to spend $20 a month. And I think part of that is, if I'm a consumer, you got to look at it this way. Like I always take my neighbor as example. This is what my neighbor gets: Madden, he gets NBA 2K, and he gets Call of Duty every year, right? That's all he gets.
American.
So you have to weigh, for him, he would have to weigh, is what am I spending? Bad math, $210 a year I'm spending on these 3 games. Is it worth me to just spend that? Or I spend the $20 a month, which adds up to whatever, bad math, with Game Pass, and now I still have to go buy Madden, and I still have to go buy NBA. You see what I mean? For him, it may make more sense to just stick with what he's already been doing, and I don't get Game Pass because I'm not playing all these other games that Game Pass has. But on the flip side, the way you convince people to want to invest in the Game Pass and stay a monthly subscriber to it are the Stalker 2s of the world, are the Auras and the Age of Mythologies and
the Activision backlog.
Yeah, exactly. In the South of Midnight, you got to have a steady cadence of games coming into that service that's going to be appealing across a wide breadth of genres, right? Because not everything's going to appeal to everybody, but there needs to be enough there that I feel like I'm getting my money's worth every month.
Yeah, I think that the Game Pass Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I don't think it's going to be the massive success that Xbox wants it to be. They're going to put out a number that's going to be like, oh, look at us, we get X amount of new subscribers or whatever, how many hundreds of millions of hours people played Call of Duty on Game Pass. I don't think it's going to move that needle because I don't think they have the education, right, for the casual gamer. I think there's a lot of people that just truly do not understand Game Pass. They don't understand that Black Ops is on Game Pass. They don't understand what that means or where they can play those things at. I think they need a lot of education. They need a lot of commercials on primetime TV explaining what Game Pass is for the casual audience to understand it. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a failure. I do think this is going to be the first year of many years of them trying to claw this back. This is not going to be the overnight success that people have been thinking about it for Game Pass.
I think you bring up a great point. I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike, but I think you just brought up a great point, Roger. I feel, this is my personal opinion, I feel like we know about Game Pass. People that are watching this right now, people that are in the chat, we know what Game Pass is. We're not the people that they need to talk to. Again, they need to talk to my neighbor. Yes. You need to educate my neighbor. You need to do more to educate that audience about what Game Pass is, what you get for your money. Because unless I go walk across the street and explain it to him, he don't know.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. And for whatever reasons, when I do see these game, commercials on TV for games, especially Xbox games, I feel like I rarely see them actually highlight Game Pass and what it does on the NFL, right? Like when people are watching the baseball playoffs are going on right now. Where are those advertisements to that audience and explaining what Game Pass is? I don't think they do it enough.
They need full on, like almost GameFly advertisements, right? Like they need to be like, hey, I'm a celebrity or whatever it is. You can have Call of Duty and all of these hundreds of games right now on game. They don't have that, and I think that is the biggest marketing bungle of it all. Because of course, Call of Duty has a lot of advertisements. I see them everywhere, and they say Game Pass at the ending. But again, if you don't have that audience understanding of what Game Pass is, it's useless.
Yeah, but that audience is still spending money. They're still buying the game, right? So like, it is a weird one of like, do we need to convert that person that might not know what Game Pass is when they're still going to spend $70 on any X, Y, and Z title release? Like, that's my catch is they got us, the true gamers, which is like the person now going, well, there's 4 games coming out and I'm trying to save money and I don't want to buy X, Y, and Z, so I'll only buy this. Well, they get you with the Game Pass. And also like Rudy down the street who only plays on his console with those games is getting hit with Game Pass ads on their Xbox home device. Like, no matter what, when you turn on the homepage, you are getting hit with Game Pass. But do I really need to convert every single person when I know he's going to spend $70 on this game, right? Like, I mean, my metric for success is, of course, we want to see Game Pass rise. But you know what I want to see rise? Microtransactions. I want to see the storefront being hit 4 times, 5 times, 10 times harder. And I think that's where we'll see the really success is like that number that was like they made $1 billion in a year off of microtransactions is now going to go through the roof and go much higher.
And where is that from? You're saying like, is that from just people that have Game Pass?
More people playing now. Okay. Thanks to Game Pass, you're jumping in because maybe you were on the fence about Call of Duty or maybe you're a lapsed fan that's jumping back. Now you're buying that skin because you just said, oh, I saved $70. I don't have to do that.
I totally get that. And I understand that logic. I just don't know how many of those people exist, right? Like, I really don't know, right? Like, the hardcore gamer are the people that usually have Game Pass, right? Like, it's not too many casuals. Of course, we don't have those numbers, but I can only assume, right? How many of those people are like, oh, I've never played a Call of Duty before, and I'm going to pick up this one, and now I'm addicted to it, right? Like, Warzone exists already. Like, Warzone is free to play.
Well, I'm trying to get the Fortnite audience.
Sure.
I'm trying to get kids that only play Fortnite and wouldn't jump to Call of Duty, right? Like, do
those kids even have Game Pass right now? That's what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't even know. I don't think so. So I don't think they're even going to have that boost. I think this is going to be about the same. I think it's going to be a very successful Call of Duty.
If you get the kids in the lunchroom talking about Call of Duty, then they will get Game Pass. If they come into school and they start saying, just like we've seen on the rise with streamer culture, right? Jinxie starts playing Rainbow Six Siege. The kids are talking about Rainbow Six Siege. Ninja plays Fortnite. They play Fortnite. Like if all of a sudden it's Call of Duty talk nonstop in the lunchroom, that's where it's going to go.
I think they might just buy the game. Like I don't think they're getting Game Pass.
Then that's still a win though.
Sure.
Here's how I think one way to look at with Black Ops 6. I think people that are already subscribed to Game Pass, Black Ops 6 will be part of the reason to keep them subscribed to Game Pass.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's a great way to look at it.
You may not necessarily grow your audience by a significant amount because of Black Ops 6, but I don't think you're going to lose your audience because of Black Ops 6. I think you'll keep people retained in the service. And then part of that retention is going to be ongoing with Avowed, South of Midnight, Fable, all these things that are coming in 2025 and beyond, where I know I'm getting this stuff. And then you look at the third-party games that they're adding in there as well.
Well, let's go kick it to Mr. Prime, who writes in and says, in 2025, hits for Xbox with games like Fable, Doom, Avowed, South of Midnight, meaning they're all good, great 80s or above. Is that enough to turn around public perception? Maybe not turn people, but entice them to get into the Xbox ecosystem. Next year, if everything hits 80 or above, Parris, is that enough to get the positivity back on their side?
I know that we're mini XCast here, but they need an Astrobot. And when I say that, I'm not saying they need a platformer. What I'm saying is they need something that is universally praised across the industry, 95 plus.
Yeah, that isn't Forza.
They need something like that.
So that's Fable. Because when you look at it, Doom, Avowed, South of Midnight, are those 3 games that?
I mean, Doom's doesn't count even, like in my mind, right? So it's like, it has to be Fable.
Is that Fable when you break down
Fable's
that list?
Probably the one that everyone's going to be talking about it. Everyone's excited to play it. And then they can say the only place you can play that is on Xbox or day one on Game Pass.
I agree with that. I mean, I think when I look at Fable's the only one. Like Doom, is great already, but it's not shaking the industry wide. South of Midnight and Avowed, I think people are kind of already made their judgment on Avowed, but they're waiting for it. South of Midnight definitely has a chance to wow for sure, but Fable is that hey, you're reviving a franchise we all know and love, and if you do it very well, then it's going to rock the world right there.
I think the real answer here, which I don't think this game is coming out in 2025. I know there's rumors about it, but I don't believe it, is Gears of War. But like, if Gears of War were to come out in 2025, that's the game. That's the game that really is going to bring a lot of people that are like, oh shit, I remember playing that game, and I remember Dom, I remember Marcus, I miss that crew, I miss my friends. Oh man, I should probably hit up my Xbox friends and we should play some Xbox games together. Like, that would connect the dots.
Okay.
In my opinion, and let's just for argument's sake say that Gears is a part of this current console generation, it probably would be the biggest game that Xbox would have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Final
Absolutely.
one. Overloaded Penguin writes in and says, with the deal closed over a year now, why are there not more Activision games on Game Pass? Parris, what's up with that? Why did they only give me a couple Call of Duty games?
I had a very wise person tell me that when you think something should be available for a game and it's not, licensing. It always goes back to licensing and previous agreements. I was told that a few years ago, and I think we're seeing that play out right now. There's probably a lot of legacy contracts that Activision has had, things like that may be preventing that. That's my guess.
Especially with Activision games,
exactly.
Primarily the ones that we love, having a lot of licensed music, and that is like where a big complication comes in.
Yeah,
I mean, think of it this way. You're even seeing that with, I don't know, they haven't officially said it yet, but the games that are coming, the games that you own coming to cloud, right? They already told you certain games won't be there because of licensing.
Yeah. I also think it's, even if it is licensed, I think some of them, like what StarCraft is coming onto Game Pass soon. Like, I don't think that's a licensing thing. I think it's just, hey, they got to look at the next 12 months, next 5 years and be like, how do we balance this all out? Right? Like, how do we have drops every single month? And they can probably see out, oh, September is going to be a light month. Let's put StarCraft there finally. Let's put this here. So I think it's also a little bit of balance there too.
Yeah. Let's get to the super chats to round out the show. Morris W writes in and says, first super chat, just to say thanks, y'all, for making my workday feel less like work. Currently listening while prepping my bar. Hey, have a wonderful shift out there. Thanks for the support. And then my main man, Thwarted Junk writes in and says, Mike, wait till Towerborn releases. It'll be free to play and progression isn't going to get wiped. I'm going to New York Comic Con, and unfortunately, all the panels are sold out. We'll have a fun time. Look for Blessing out in the hallways. Make sure to tweet a Bless. Tell him to have a little meet and greet where he says hi to everybody. We made him do that at PAX East. He had a blast. So make sure to holler at him and have fun. Be safe out there. And for all of you watching and listening, thank you so much for tuning into our Stalker 2 preview. Thank you to Parris. Parris, I would also love, I didn't get to remember, plug what you did because you had an interview go up on your YouTube channel as well.
Yes, on my YouTube channel, I put up about 25-minute interview and just kind of a mini preview of Stalker 2. But I got to talk to the cinematics team lead over at GSC Game World, and we just talked about Stalker 2. We just talked about, obviously, everything real life that studio has been going through with the Ukraine war. It was a great conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Go check that out. Support Parris. He's got a great YouTube channel. You can always catch him there. And, of course, you can catch him here on Kind of Funny Content whenever
Parris,
we can
you're
have
so
him.
jacked. Oh my god.
So jacked.
That you're just
busting out of that t-shirt. About to rip that t-shirt in half, y'all.
Great,
watch
Parris.
out.
Looking great.
Parris, you're the best. Thanks for joining us. To everyone watching and listening out there, thank you for tuning into another Kind of Funny Gamescast. Of course, we love having fun video game topics of conversations with all of you. Don't forget, later this afternoon, starting right after this, over on Twitch exclusively, on YouTube later, the boys will be playing Alien Isolation for the first time, as long as you want it, and then we'll be back tomorrow with more Kind of Funny content. Thank you, everyone. Take care.